Time for another board game review, and this time we have two games. We've got Brainwaves, the Astute Goose, and Brainwaves, the Brilliant Boar. These were sent to me by Thames Kosmos, and this one is designed by Dr. Reiner Knizia, and this one is designed by Dirk Baumann. These are essential brain training games for the whole family. They are 15-minute long games. Kids can play them, and I'm going to show you how to play both. All right, we're going to start out with the Brilliant Boar. In this game, you have these cute little animal cards, and you are trying to make pairs by memorizing which cards are in your hand. There are different difficulty levels depending on, if you're playing with kids or whatever. You can play with up to 9 different animal designs at a time, which I would recommend if you want a challenge. But it's nice that you can change that and be flexible depending on age groups. You have a face-up deck of animal cards here. And then, on your turn, you can either take a card from the draw deck or play a card from your hand. So if you don't have any cards, you have to draw a card. So let's take this hair card, study it, make sure we've got it all memorized. And then the trick here is, once you've memorized it, you flip it, and you can no longer look at this for the rest of the game. However, everybody else can see what animal this is. If you ever draw another card, here we have the mouse, then you place it in this last position in your hand. And again, now you're going, okay, hare, mouse. You're just trying to keep that memorized. And the game sort of continues like that. So let's say, okay, I got a wild boar. Aha. Let's say on my next turn, I see that wild boar is face up on the table. I can now, if I would like to, I can play a card. So I go, which one's the wild boar? I think it's this one. Reveal. Aha, it was a match. That means you have scored a point. You take those 2 cards, place them face down in front of you. However, let's say you make a mistake. Like, let's say I see the badger here. I think this is the badger. It is not the badger. Then what happens with this mouse card is it gets laid down face up on the table. And now anybody can try to make a match with this mouse or the face-up card. And that's it. All you're doing is you're taking these cards into your hand on your turns. And if you see a match, oh, badger, which card was that? And you try to think about it. Was it this one? Oh, it wasn't. It goes on the board. If you had picked the right one, you get the point. Once the draw deck is empty and only one player has cards left in their hand, you then count how many points everybody has by pairs. Each of the cards in your hand will reduce that player's final score by 1 point. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a variant you can play where you have to name the card before playing it so that there's no like lucky random matches. I would say for the most part it's not entirely necessary, but it's there. The other game, the Astute Goose, let's go into this one. We have number cards here. You can lay these out in different configurations depending on difficulty. I'm going to show you the hardest difficulty, in which we use all 6 in separate slots. Other difficulties will let you like pair them up, like so that there's kind of 2 for each. You'll see what I mean in a second, but again, I'm just going to show you the most difficult version. Now, we have these suspect cards, and these suspects all have different colors of clothing, different little accessories and animals, and you're going to put one of these face up under each number. Everybody stares at these guys. They also get a feature card that tells you what the features are. There's 5 different colors, 5 different accessories, 5 different animals, and you're just studying these guys. In fact, you guys can kind of play along, because in a second I'm about to flip these over, so study these very carefully. Ready? All right. It's time to flip them over. Then the first player will roll these dice. All right. Number 6. What kind of accessory were they wearing? I actually wasn't paying attention to these, so I'm just going to take a guess. My guess is, I don't know, scarf. No, he was wearing just pinstripes with no accessory. So, in that case, I was wrong. So, before revealing it, actually, I look at the card secretly. And if it was wrong, then everybody else has the chance to answer. So another player might go, oh, it wasn't a scarf. I think it was the pinstripes. That player gets it correctly, then that player gets the point. If none of the players can identify the correct item, then the card is removed from the game. Then what you do is you draw a new card. Here we got this guy. Goes there. The next person rolls. Okay, we're looking for the color in 4. Was it yellow? It was yellow. So if it says it was, I get the point. And that's it. The game continues until there are no more cards in the draw deck. As soon as the roll of the die indicates an empty position, the game ends immediately. Count your points. There's also like a solo version, a cooperative version, but they all pretty much are the same concept. So I like the concept behind these games a lot. They're just fun little brain teaser memory games that you can learn instantly. Anybody of any age can play these. Like, they're not hard to grasp at all. You can learn them in less than a minute, pretty much. Kids games that are actually fun, I think this is an underrated genre. And I imagine pretty invaluable for parents who want to play with their kids, but don't want to be subjected to terrible, mind-numbingly fucking bad games. So I'm going to say, these two are very fun for what they are. Brilliant Boar is simple, but actually my favorite of the two. If we're being realistic, really, all you need to do is memorize the order of the cards in your hands. Seeing everybody else's cards in their hands is funny, because you get to watch them in real time pick the wrong card. But you don't need to look at them at all. But it's very satisfying to watch them fail and struggle. It's funny, not that long ago, I reviewed a game called Tellstones in episode 105. That was another memory game. But I actually think this is like kind of a better balanced version of Tellstones, because it has the exact same satisfying feeling of memory and memorizing the order, like, okay, boar, goose, rabbit, your hare, you know. I would argue that this one, despite it just being a deck of cards, is more fun to play than Tellstones. It's only a deck of cards, but the animal designs are fun, and yeah, it's honestly pretty engaging. As soon as we played one, I was like, let's play again. It's just fun to play. It's one of those games you can play a couple rounds of very quickly, and it doesn't get old. Astute Goose is definitely more challenging for the memory. And I will admit, it gets very difficult to keep track of all the suspects. But when you do manage to remember stuff, it's very satisfying. The only downside is because you're rolling dice, sometimes you can give yourself free points, because if you end up rolling the card that was just placed, it's just like, oh, I remember this one. Again, just a solid memory game. Both games are easily learned within seconds, and you can play immediately, and anybody of all ages will have a solid time. I played this with a grown adult. You know, we are both grown adults, and we enjoyed this quite a bit for what it was. I think there are 3 titles in this series. I have not played the third one. But with these two, they're just simple, solid family games that are admittedly kind of addicting to play. You know, especially if you like memory games and have like, or want something that's much more accessible, not only with kids, but for like, let's say, people who aren't used to board games. This is just a very simple game to pull out and have fun with. So, good. Recommended.